Latin is what we call a case-based language. This means that the spelling of a word changes depending upon how the word is used in its sentence. Specifically, it is the ending that changes when the grammatical use of a word is different. To understand this practice, we have to do a little bit of English grammar review. There are two main components to a sentence, the subject and the predicate. The subject is what you are talking about, and the predicate is what you have to say about what you are talking about. Usually, the most important word in the predicate will be the verb, what the subject is doing. So the sentence, I stand, has a subject and a predicate. The word I is the subject, performing the action of the verb, and the verb stand names what I am doing. Within this basic framework, we can make more complicated sentences. Instead of simply doing things, we can do things to other things. In the sentence, I write a book, I am still the subject, and what I am doing is writing. In this sentence, however, we provide an object for the verb, or what we call a direct object. In the sentence, I hold a marker, I am the subject, performing the action of the verb, the action of the holding, and the marker is the direct object, receiving the action of the verb. That is our basic definition of a direct object. The direct object is a noun or pronoun that receives the action of a verb. In English, we indicate grammatical function like subject and object with semantic word order. In the sentence, Jess pushes Jacob, you know that Jess is the one doing the pushing because that name is first in the sentence. The position before the verb in our language is reserved for the subject. It's what that position means. Similarly, we know that Jacob is the one being pushed and not the one doing the pushing because his name comes after the verb. In English, the position after the verb is reserved for the direct object. Latin works a little differently. The subject and the object of the sentence are indicated with different endings to the word. We call those different endings cases. For example, the Latin word philia, which means daughter, will be spelled differently depending upon whether the daughter is the subject or the object of the sentence. In the sentence, the daughter runs, the word appears as philia, which has an A ending, philia currit. However, in the sentence, the woman has a daughter, femina habet filiam, the daughter is no longer the subject of the sentence. The woman is the subject, and the daughter is the direct object of the verb have. In Latin, the word philia is spelled philia when it is the subject, and filiam when it is the object, with the addition of the M to the end. Always. This means that Latin word order can actually be negotiable, shall we say. Look at these 5 sentences. Femina habet filiam, filiam habet femina, filiam femina habet, and femina filiam habet. 4 sentences rather, not 5, sorry. All communicate basically the same information. The woman has a daughter. In all these arrangements, you know that the subject is the woman, because the word for woman has the subject ending, the A. Similarly, you know that the daughter is the one being had, the object of the verb habet, because in each of these 4 sentences, it is the word for daughter, philion, that has the am ending, the object ending. Words with a subject ending are in what we call the nominative case. In all the sentences on the previous slide, you know that the daughter is the direct object because in all of them, the word for daughter has the direct object ending, the am. We call this ending the accusative case. Still, even though word order is very free, there is a word order that we could say Latin writers or speakers tended to prefer. The first word and the last word in the sentence were treated as the most powerful positions, the positions in the sentence with the most emphasis, and so the most important or emphasized words would be put there, one at the beginning, one at the end. Normally, the most important words in a sentence will be the subject and the verb, and so it is very common for the subject of a sentence in Latin to come first and the verb to come last. That means that it is the 4th and last sentence on this list, femina filiam habet, that is the arrangement that you are most likely to see in a Latin text. But the other ones are all possibilities. They're good Latin still. So, how do we go about translating a Latin sentence when words seemingly can appear in any old order? Remember, the goal will be to bring a Latin sentence into English. So keep in mind how we build sentences in our language. Subject, verb, direct object. So when you start with a Latin sentence that you are going to translate into English, hunt down the subject. The subject will often be at the beginning, but does not have to be. Another trick is that the verb form, like wedet here, or like wedet, can by itself mean she sees. A verb like habet, all by itself, can mean she has. So the subject could be embedded within the verb form. You'll get used to it, I promise. Once you have found your subject, translate it. Then, identify your verb. The verb will often be at the end, but does not have to be. Translate your verb second. Finally, find the direct object, if there is any. Translate that third. Those are your basic translation tips for a Latin sentence. Subject, verb, direct object. Whatever order those words appear in the Latin sentence, you should arrange them in that order to make your translation English. Subject, verb, direct object.